Okay,
you have just witnessed the strength of hip hop. Jesus.
All right, you guys, welcome to another episode of the Chop Up.
Episode 23.
23.
Jordan.
Divine.
Yeah.
He's a scorekeeper. I never know what episode it is.
I know we're on 23, motherfucker.
Thank you.
Come on.
With that, thank you, like always, to Boogie for letting us do this show. Make sure you guys go ahead and get that app on your phone, maximum.ca.
Hey.
You guys can follow me on my Twitter at I'm Chris Green. The Ignorance is Free with the Z is the Instagram. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on the YouTube channel. That's The Ignorance is Free with the Z.
Mike Divine Music with a K. Follow me, y'all. I'm
On
just
what?
excited about
No,
this show.
whoa.
On
Follow me
Twitter.
on what?
Don't talk about the fucking Instagram.
What's your Twitter?
Mike Divine Music with a K.
Okay, so
Jesus
he forgets
Christ.
and what happened to
Don't worry about all that.
Before we introduce the guest, I want to be clear. Last week, this nigga said he was going to set up an Instagram account. Still no fucking Instagram account.
I fucking hate social media.
Yeah, it's not happening. So with that, we do have a guest in the building. He goes by the legend. Adam Bomb.
Hey,
Bomb,
what's going on?
Welcome.
Some hand claps.
He deserves a clap, man. For real.
Blessing us with the appearance on the show. Appreciate that.
Much appreciated.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
So what's the dealio, man? You just put out a material.
It's out, man. Yeah, second solo project for 2017 so far. Third release if you include the Freedom Riders project that came out earlier this year. So yeah, man, we're working finally.
Finally. I love that.
Yeah.
Finally. Why finally?
I had to get over the hump, man.
The hump.
I move in waves a lot. You know what I mean? I only go off of whatever's natural to me. So if I don't feel like doing something, I don't force it. That's already the first excuse I'm going to give you. And then the other one is I'm just used to moving in groups. You know what I mean? So now I'm finally doing the solo thing.
Yeah, groups. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But before we do, I want to get into this thing, which was incredible, by the way. I think it was an awesome look that you were on, Canada's top 25 greatest rappers of all time. That's insane.
The CBC thing. Yeah.
CBC, right?
That was crazy. Yeah, CBC.
Where were you when that shit hit? Where were you? How did you find out?
I think it was, I might have been hanging with some of the boys, and I remember getting somebody message me and be like, yo, you made the top 25 list. I was like, Hip Hop Canada? Like, who put the list out? You know what I mean? I thought it was somebody's tweet or something. I was like, okay, cool, that's good. Somebody's my friend, that's nice. And then they said, no, it's just like best rappers of all time in Canada. And I was like, that's kind of excessive. I haven't really released anything. That's actually one of the nice catalysts for why I started doing this, because I was like, I can't be getting this praise and not put out anything. Like I really had done nothing. I was just in groups that happen to have some sort of reputation, but I didn't do nothing myself.
But it's funny that you say that, because people are still listening to the stuff you released before.
Just off of those one-offs.
Yeah, like I go back and I watch the videos that you had, and to me it's still current shit. Like,
yeah, well, I mean,
your lyrics are just bananas, man.
I try to always stay sharp. There's a lot of, Canada's got a lot of skills, man, and
they do.
You got to stay sharp with them. If not, you'll fall behind. So yeah, I just try to stay sharp.
I want to actually speak to that. You said Canada's got a lot of skills, which they do.
They do.
Lots of talented artists in Canada, Toronto especially.
For sure.
What are your thoughts on this list, man?
On that list, I mean, it's not super current either. So, I mean, a lot of things have probably changed since then as well.
Yeah.
But
at the time,
there was maybe like one or two guys that I was like, I've never heard of them, but I might have just been out the loop. And then other guys I felt should have been way higher on the list. Like I wouldn't even have mind bumped up, been like higher in the list. Well, you got the list right there? Got the list right there. Yeah, certain like I'm not even gonna say like certain guys. Dream Warriors is at King Lou is at 18. I'm at 15. King Lou, I grew up listening to Dream Warriors. I could show you their cassette tapes. That's classic music. That should have been way higher. Someone like Cadence Weapon, I was never a fan of. He could have went further, towards the 25 mark. And those guys could have switched places and I would have felt. But I mean, that's why they do lists, so everyone can kind of critique it,
Hold on. So you were where on the list?
I'm 15.
15. Yeah. Okay, so you were 15 on the list. Now, with that being said, Bomb, I want to play you something, all right? Because the people I'm about to play you, they were ahead of you on the list.
This is lovely. Yeah.
Let's ride. If you're feeling my vibe, then we can all just ride. If you want to get down, then we can all just ride. All my people, throw your hands up high and just ride. Where you from, east side or west side, just
swollen melons, feeling they can't stop. Take a minute and remember who takes the top. The critics know the cynics, your time is up. Just admit it and rewind it when this rhyme is up. It's hot.
Glass always playing my song. I got a record label that's putting me on, but I still stay with the yellow dog. I-95's got a smile on his face and big shiny eyes. Up at a decent hour, never ate yet. Got a little Johnny Cash in the old tape deck.
So Buck 65 classified.
Buck 65. See, I don't even recognize.
Shot Clear
Yeah.
and Mocha Only.
Yeah.
Now,
Or
Mocha
Swollen.
Only.
Well, that was a swollen.
Yeah.
That was a swollen member's record, but that was Mocha Only.
Yeah.
Bomb.
Yeah.
You heard the record that we started the show off with, right?
Yeah.
No
The
Socks
further
on
one
there?
to
No
it.
No, Socks
Socrates?
is on the list.
Yeah, but what number is Socks?
He was
Socks
7,
is-
but I'm talking about
Okay,
these
okay.
guys.
He could have
These
been higher
guys.
too, I think,
These guys
but-
were ahead of Bomb on the list.
Yeah, but
Why?
rightfully so.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
It's not about who can put together a nicer verse. You know, I mean, I try to stay humble, but I'll always say that I could hold weight with anybody you throw me in a booth with on a verse wise. But if you're talking about making hits, those guys all have certified. I can't say all of them. I don't know Buck 65's music. I just don't know. Consider me ignorant there. But
Yeah.
Mocha Only with Swollen members, they made a song that played across the country multiple times a day for an entire year and a half, 2 years, and still plays now. I can't say that I have any of those records. So, you know, for me, being on the list is already ridiculous because just of my catalog. But, you know, would I listen to some of these guys over, you know, stuff that I make or the stuff that I think is better? No, I would listen to it. But, you know, I can't.
if
blame
if it was based on lyrics,
Yeah.
strictly based on lyrics,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts about not so much the list, because the list is an awesome look,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what are your thoughts about those people being ahead of you, strictly based on lyrics?
On lyrics, yeah, of course, but that's not, you know, lyrics is a big part of hip hop, but it's not everything, man. There's so much stuff that I listen to that has no lyrical content at all, and I just appreciate it as music. A song like "Let's Ride" is that something that you're gonna shake your friend up and say, yo, that bar was crazy? Maybe it won't, but that song is classic, bro. That beat alone is classic. That song can
The
turn
video,
up a
everything
jam.
about
Yeah,
it.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I can't even say I have something in the closet that's as big as that record. So, you know, all shouts to those guys who put down their joints. I'm not a fan of everybody on that list, but I don't think you're supposed to be, man.
I mean,
No.
at the end of the day,
Like, is that in any particular order for real?
it is. It's a
in
real
an
order.
I think-
Now, mind you, forgive me, Bomb. I don't know if this guy created the list. He did write the article.
Yeah.
Martin Bowman.
Yeah.
Right, and I don't know, man. Seeing that list is fucked up to me because I do think you should be a lot higher on the list, in my personal opinion. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but like, for instance, Maestro Fresh West, who is a fucking legend.
Yeah, he's a god. at
Who
the
is a
Canada
legend.
rap.
Yeah.
And you could say whatever you want when I say this, but I mean, I do personally think you'd wrap circles around him.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what, you know, it goes back to like the XXL list and all those lists where they're trying to pick best rapper. It's what have you contributed to Canadian hip hop, and you cannot put anybody above Maestro as far as like contributing to a scene that didn't exist until he really busted in the first place.
That's true.
If you're gonna have an argument about who should be in that top slot, it's either him or Drake has got to take the first spot as far as bringing light to the city.
Okay.
Or to the country. Sorry, it's a Canadian list.
And we even have that problem in the U.S. Like, you know, it's always, who's the best? Rakim, Cool G Rap, KRS, Nas. Like,
For sure.
this is an ongoing battle, but everybody's going to have their own list.
100%.
My list is probably not the same as yours, and it's not the same as yours. My
It's-
top MC is not going to be your top MC.
Somebody said that,
You know what I mean?
don't know,
So-
someone way smarter than me said it. It says, who was you listening to when you started getting laid? That's basically is who you were listening to around that era will make you the happiest to hear again, because that's what was going on in
Nas.
your life. And exactly, if you start
know what I'm
thinking about
saying?
who you were listening to,
Yeah.
it'll line up.
Story.
What did being on that list do for you?
I mean, a lot of times I don't use accolades for any sort of motivation where I'm just like, oh, okay, now I'm accepted, so I'm going to keep doing it. I do it just because, for the same reason why I share groups and stuff like that. I like to stay sharp, and if I'm going to do anything, I do it to the 100th degree. Like, I do it as big as I can. So being on a list was cool. It was like, hey, they recognize. It's nice to be acknowledged. You know
Exactly,
what I mean?
yeah.
But it doesn't change your day. You know what I mean? If I wasn't on the list, I'd still be doing this interview. I'd still be doing exactly what I do.
Nice.
I do everything because I feel what's right and what's wrong to do. That's basically how I move. I don't fucking do anything based on credentials or that's a cool
I
thing.
would love to see a list like that on a national level, because that was sick.
Yeah.
Everybody in Canada got to see that list.
Yeah.
But I would love to see a list like that created specifically just based on just talent,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Instead of just like fucking Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
but it's also who picks the list. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, somebody with credentials. Who the fuck is Martin Bowman? Who is that guy?
Well, from what I understand, I don't know the list too much. But
I love the way he says the name.
That's him
saying.
right there. No,
Martin, what's going on, Martin?
No, from what I understand, he actually went out and reached out to other people in the scene. Now, did he reach out to credible people? I don't know.
This is what I'm
did
saying.
you get a call? Did you get a call? I don't know.
No
But
phone call.
I don't know who he spoke to. But I mean, I'm not gonna shit on it. If I made the list, I'm very happy.
I think number
Absolutely.
15 is still fucking dope.
I mean,
to be honest.
yeah.
I mean,
If they made the list again, I don't know if I'd even be on it again. There's
Nah.
been so
Oh,
many.
you'd be on
No, there's
there.
a lot of hit guys now. Think about it. That was probably like 5 years ago, 6 years
Yeah,
ago. That
yeah.
list. So if you got to have guys like Tory's going to be on there, or Jazz Cartier's going to be
okay.
on
Okay.
there.
Who were you surprised that wasn't on there that did make moves?
Tona
If you
should have
could-
been in on that.
Yeah, I was
Tona should have
wondering.
been on
Who?
that.
Sorry?
Tona.
Oh, yeah,
Tona had
for
hit
sure, for
records
sure.
that flew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if Decisive's on that list.
Decisive is on that list.
Is he on the list? Okay,
yeah,
I didn't know
absolutely.
he was on-
Decisive is actually number 8.
Oh, okay, so yeah, he did a lot of work. So okay, I'm glad he's on it. I think Mad Child, I'm not a fan of him really, but I think he should have been
Okay,
on the
why?
list.
He's been making
Wait,
moves,
why?
though. He's
Because of the
been-
moves or because of skill?
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to his music, but if you say a list of Canadian rappers to me, I'm gonna mention Mad Child.
As a
Because,
collective, yeah, he's been
especially
around
when
for
you're
a
talking
long time.
Canada. If you want to just go Toronto, I can go on and on of guys that I think are nice and
Mm-hmm.
just dope, and I listen to them more than Mad Child. But if you're gonna talk Canada wide, can't knock a guy who contributed a lot to that scene. You know
Rascals,
what I mean?
Red One.
They're on there.
Red One's on there.
I was gonna say
Of course,
DL Incognito.
Misfit's not on there. He's horrible.
Well, we won't remember we talked
he
about
is-
that.
he
But
is.
DL Incognito from BC, Vancouver.
Yeah, no,
Van City.
no. He's from
thought-
Ottawa. He's
oh, I thought he was
Ottawa.
from Van
No, he's
City.
from
Oh,
Ottawa.
shit.
He is
No,
very
no.
dope, man. He's here
Yeah,
now.
DL
but-
Incognito's dope. I
He's
haven't
not
heard
on there.
anything from that guy in a long
No,
time.
I did something on I think his last release, but yeah,
Nice.
he's very dope, man.
Bum,
Yeah.
can I ask you about this record too?
What's up?
All right, first I gotta play this for you, man.
Talking about coming back hard. I want to know, because I was promised that when it dropped, it would come here. What the fuck is good with Canada Sucks third verse?
It's out. I have it written. It is done, finished, written. It's never been recorded. Nobody other than myself knows who the hell that verse is about. I know who it's about, and you should know who it's about. And when the time comes when that person comes out of his face, I will drop that third verse. No questions about it.
Damn it!
Yeah.
Who is the third verse about?
Come on.
He's still out there. He's still out there. I'm not saying who it is. He's still out there.
Okay,
I
can
don't-
we get a hint?
I don't-
Now something not super close, but
Yeah.
just to
You've been in the room with him before.
son of a bitch.
There you go. So that's why we're gonna leave it at that. Yeah, you've been in the room with him before.
Okay, let me ask you this question
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Is the third verse, because it starts, now let me tell you about some rappers that I actually know.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you were going to go on a tangent of a bunch of motherfuckers that you actually know. Is it that, like, name dropping like in the second verse, or is it literally to that one person?
No, it's one person. Is the last verse is just one person. That's it. Yeah. But I mean, I don't pick fights unless they get brought to me. If somebody says 1-2 thing on a record and I even feel that's what it is and it comes from that person,
Yeah.
that comes out the next day.
So is that what started this? Like there was something that was said to you on a record?
No, it was just brewed up on a personal level. It was never anything said on the record. If there was already something on the record, you would have already heard me saying, like, I don't hold my tongue for no reason. I have nothing to hold my tongue for. You know, it's
Yeah.
not like I have corporate sponsors I got to worry about losing money from starting problems in the streets. I'm ready to go for whatever reason, petty reasons. I'll make up a reason, but I don't really like to pick fights because you end up losing if you pick a fight. So
Yeah.
I just hold it in the chamber, and if somebody ever gets out their face, it'll come.
So this person, do you think at this stage, this was years ago, but what was
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
This was SARS 5, right?
2006, yeah.
So do you think
Oh,
at this stage today
We've all
that this
grown beards since then.
our friends are dying, we're
But I like
old
that
now?
people still mention it. It's just supposed to be a mixtape drop to make some noise for SARS 5, and it just ended up being something that gets mentioned in an interview. So,
I went back and looked at your interviews. Every single interview, they brought it up.
because I think it's something that everyone wanted to say, but they were like, "Yo, you're the guy that actually said that it sucks, and why do you think that?" And they just want to know the reason.
I'm not going to ask you that question because I know what you were saying.
Yeah.
I know why you made that
I
record.
appreciate people who understand the angle I was coming from. You know what I mean? But it's also I can also understand why someone would ask that because
Yeah.
the name alone would make you say, "Wait a second, I'm
fuck
from
are
there.
you?"
Why the hell are you saying that?" But yeah, no,
Now, not to completely leave that.
that's all right.
This
We can do that.
this third verse.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, it was like SARS 5 up until today. Do you see any possibility of that? This person, this mysterious person who I've apparently been in the room with.
Yeah.
Do you see any possibility of them getting out their face where you would actually have to put that out?
As time passes, I think it's less and less possible, and we still, we haven't resolved any sort of our tension. So I have a feeling that if it ever happens, I think what's going to happen one way or the other.
It was Drake.
No. I don't even think he existed in 2000. Like, was he? I don't even think he was.
What was Drake
because
even
you think
doing in
about
2006 though?
Drake came out almost as an answer to Canada Sucks, because my whole thing was like, hey, everybody, we got a lot of skills up here. Nobody's going anywhere with it. This is getting ridiculous. And then as soon as I dropped it, about a year and a half later, he was the guy.
I know, it was actually kind of funny because he's like, on the record, he's like, yeah, you're going to be the one motherfucker that does it. I'll believe. And
that's
I'm
why
like,
I don't perform this song anymore, because they were like, oh, wait, he's talking about Drake. Yeah, he actually did the thing I was complaining about. So
you
good
guys,
for him.
it was Drake. Okay, next question.
So, away from all the political shit, because
Yeah.
I'm the guy that likes to ask the music questions.
Sure,
so,
yeah.
You know, because I'm a hip hop head for life.
Fuck music.
So,
Yeah.
I just have 2 questions for you right now,
man.
right off the top. I'm a big fan of Planet Asia.
Sick.
How the fuck did you link that up? Impeccable was an impeccable song,
Oh.
just to straight up say that. So how did you link with Planet Asia, and why Planet Asia? Like,
That
the reason why I ask, sorry to cut you, but the reason why I ask is because when people think about hip hop, they think of the heavy hitters in the US. You know, they're like, oh my God, he did a song with Jay, or he did a song with so and so and so.
Yeah.
Like even Torre or someone like that. But
Yeah.
you went deep and got Planet Asia. How did that come about? Like, how did that unfold?
The link was originally through Sprox. I think he actually did some features back in the day in Canada. He did one for IRS, and I was jealous of that record because I was already a fan of his. My boy Skinny.
He was
showed
on
me-
an IRS
He
record.
destroyed that record. That's an insane record. And
Planet
like,
Asia is insane,
he's one of those guys that as I was coming up in the scene, like even me rhyming, you know, I was always trying to keep my ear to the stuff that a lot of people didn't know, because that's what keeps you the freshest. Is just like, you know, just keeping extra sharp by knowing that stuff. So
Absolutely.
I was listening to all this stuff, and you know, when you start to hear a guy or a girl or whatever on a record, and consistently when you hear someone, you're like, who is this? This is dope.
Yeah.
And they'd always get the same answer, like, oh, that's Planet Asia.
Okay.
And every time I would hear it, I was like, yo, this guy's dope. So I started looking for his projects,
Nice.
and he is nice. But Sprox like, yo, I got a link to him. I
That's
said, yo, let's
so
do
dope.
it. And yeah, he killed
Sprox
it.
produced that too, right?
Yeah, the whole
so-
Larstone album
yeah.
Sprox made. Yeah.
He actually, Planet Asia. I have to be honest. But a lot of the times when I see like Toronto artists connect with, like American artists,
Yeah.
the verse is just kind of like delivered. You know, they come lackluster. Here you go.
I
Thank
found this
you.
verse under the couch earlier. So
Yeah,
here it is.
but he fucking bodied it.
He did.
Yeah,
He's-
he went in. He
I don't
went in
think. I
hard
think
on
he has
that.
the same mentality as me. If you're gonna do something, kill it, because
Yeah.
you know you never know who you're gonna get on a record with. And yeah, man, he's somebody.
That's fantastic,
His
man.
newest stuff with Apollo Brown is insane. Man.
Yeah, he just put out that album with Apollo
I
Brown.
love it. I love
I'm
it.
a big fan of Apollo Brown.
Would you-
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and that ties into the second question, because I'm a huge fan of production in that boom bap sound.
Yeah.
So Apollo Brown has put out crazy projects lately with Sky Zoo, Planet Asia, Raz Kaz. Who's your dream producer to work with? And I ask this to everybody because, growing up, we all had that one producer where
Yeah.
like, oh shit, jump on a Primo track. You know, you
Yeah.
always want to rap over the instrumental. So
Yeah.
if you had to go into a studio and you had a lineup of producers,
Yeah.
who would you choose out of like Pete Rock, Primo, Large, Pro?
Primo's always the guy, but you know who it is that I'm always like, yo, if I can, that's the guy I want to holler at is Ninth
Pharrell.
Wonder.
Ninth Wonder.
Ninth Wonder's got that.
Actually,
Little
Every
Brother.
time-
I can
see
He's
that.
one of those guys, like I was just saying about
Wow.
Planet Asia. When you
Yeah.
look up a beat, like, who made this? And they're looking, I was like, oh, it's Ninth Wonder. That's why it's
so
dope. Yeah,
dope.
like he's
good
very
looking
sick.
out on that. Yeah, because that's not a name you hear very
No.
often. Like people like Ninth Wonder, but
Yeah.
they always go off the grid. They're always talking about the heavy
Yeah.
hitters. Like Ninth Wonder
Yeah,
is
you're
still
gonna say
to
Dre,
me.
you're gonna say
Yeah,
Primo, you're
yeah.
gonna say P Rock, you're gonna say Dilla.
Would
Whatever.
you ever
Exactly.
turn down? So, for instance, let's just say the Planet Asia, and I'm just
Yeah.
throwing his name out there. It could be whoever.
Yeah.
But if a major artist,
Yeah.
who we'll just say did you a solid, jumped on your record, if
Yeah.
they gave you a shit verse,
Yeah.
would you ever turn it down?
It happened on Larstone. I have a verse with Sean Price. Rest in peace, Sean Price.
Rest in peace, Sean
And
Price.
rest in
What?
peace
Go
to
back
Sean
to
Price.
that.
The record is just, it didn't, I'm not saying he was trash on it, but you know, as you were saying earlier, sometimes artists just get whatever kind of verse they want to spit out and they don't care about the verse.
just didn't
whatsoever.
fit the song.
When you hear Sean Price on a record like Violent or On Your Head, you're like, yo, that's P. That's a
Yeah.
verse that I
Fool.
want. And then when you end up getting the verse, you're just like, this is kind of like you're just doing it because it's his name and you're putting it out. You wouldn't feel right with it. And there's two reasons I put it out. I don't mean to shit on somebody that's passed.
Yeah.
He's definitely a legend.
Absolutely.
For one, it didn't fit the actual album feel, so that's the reason it actually got left off. And secondary, it wasn't his strongest his verse. So I will turn it down if that's what it is. You know what
Fuck,
I mean?
man.
Yeah.
fair.
A lot of
That's
people
fair.
would just be like, "Yo, I'm just
No.
gonna put it out. I did a track with this guy. I want everybody to know about it."
Bro, if I put
it out,
if I phone in a verse and you pay me for a feature and you're just like, hey man, that verse kind of trash, tell me and I'll redo my verse. I don't want my stuff to be weak out there, man. So you know
course
what I
not.
mean? I wouldn't
Very
want you to
true.
put out something just because you happen to pay me and this is what you get for your dollar kind of stuff. Forget that.
That's amazing.
I want to ask you about Freedom Writers.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the last album? Was now
Again.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
sorry, Sprox. You're not listening to
He's
this
on his
anyway.
way.
You're not
He's on
listening
his
to
way.
this. But again, now the album before that, now, it seemed like the rollout for that was huge. Arizona Bay, 34,000. For the Change, 29,000. Two making of videos, better ones, Arizona Bay. You guys were just, and I know there was like lead up songs to that weren't on the album. You guys were putting out like solo tracks or whatever like that, right? It also helped build the buzz. But the point that I'm trying to make is the rollout was so huge. It came out, everybody was talking about it. This is the shit. And then Again comes out, and it just seemed like the rollout was weak.
And
It was
came and
like it was like one video, which is at 700 views.
Yeah.
And I went on all the members' pages, some posts here and there, but
Yeah.
nothing like what happened.
Just about it's about timing. That's one thing. The Freedom Writers' timing was real perfect. And you know what's kind of crazy, just to put that whole thought on pause, is the content that the Freedom Writers talks about, I feel, is more fit to what's happening in the world right now. So you'd actually need a Freedom Writer album now in comparison to what was going on in the world then. Back then, it was actually some progressive stuff happening. So it's kind of crazy that there was more of a vibe for it then. That being said, is everyone was kind of who's in Freedom Writers was more stagnant with their careers at the time. We were just waiting around for one another to say, yo, let's make this together.
Yeah.
And we were each other's biggest look. When this was coming on, when this project was getting put together, there was really no focus. It was just we'll contribute, but it wasn't like, yo, let's get together and make this album a cohesive album and make sure that we push it as hard as possible. Let's shoot 10 videos and behind the scenes footage and do 12 shows and, you know, do singles and do all the work that you're supposed to do behind the album.
Yeah.
It was completely dropped as far as the interest from all of us, but you can't point fingers. A guy like Frankie had probably 2 albums and a wedding going at the time. Tona had 2 solo albums going at the time.
Yeah.
I had 2 solo albums going. Theo had projects going. Progress has changed up his entire style from then. And
I don't even know who Progress is anymore.
but yo, I love it. I love the new music. But yeah,
No, you don't.
you know,
No,
bro.
you don't.
I do.
You like Bellies?
Yeah, bro.
Didn't we just play the song?
We played Bellies the other
I
day.
liked it.
Yeah,
I liked
man.
it.
I don't know
liked
why
it.
we're having this
We talked about
conversation
But
again.
you
We're
come
not
from,
gonna-
you come
yeah.
from the depths with Pro, but
No,
Pro is
I-
probably one of my. I say it to him, and I say it even when I'm not saying to him. If I had $1 million in my pocket to give to 2 Canadian artists, just because I'm super fans of them, one is Progress and the other one is T Grams. Those are the 2 guys I will listen to back to back all day.
And thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
But I do want to just quickly touch on that Pro shit. It's not a Progress show. But to be clear, Progress is dope.
Yeah.
I just don't like the new shit.
And that's fine.
And with that, actually, because we talked about it on the episode Spitz was here.
Yeah.
And then I told her what I was saying, and I'm like, oh, Divine and Spitz were mashing me up because I was bashing the record.
Yeah.
And then I played her the record, Bellies, and she's like,
really?
I know you don't want to hear this, but that song's amazing.
Who said
And
this?
my wife. And I'm like, I'm not saying the song is shit. It's just
not
for
your
me.
vibe.
And it's
not
also
your vibe.
because of what you know Pro is
There's that
capable
too.
of.
Yeah.
Progress is insane. But you got to respect the man who's like, yo, I can do one thing very easily over and over again, or I can do something that's completely different that not everybody may not like, but I actually enjoy doing.
Yeah.
I always respect somebody that just takes what they actually feel like doing and does it. And you know what I mean? And it just feels real to me from who he is as a person. So anyhow, that being said, Spross was doing his stuff too, so that's the whole team, being sidetracked. So
Now,
that's
is
the
there
next thing.
still a Freedom Writers? Are we going to get another Freedom Writers album? Before you answer, I just want to give my 2 cents as an outsider.
Yeah.
I would say probably not. And the reason why I would say that is because like I said, like the Now album, it was crazy, right? And it would be like, it's like when Wu-Tang put out the 36 Chambers, people couldn't wait for the next Wu-Tang album. That shit's gonna be lit.
Yeah.
I want to see what that's about.
Right.
So it was like, when you guys did the Now album, I don't want to say it was that type, you know understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
But it was like, fuck, this is going to be dope. But then like the rollout, the energy behind it, which everything you said made sense.
Yeah.
but it was like it just wasn't there. So that leads me to believe that it was just kind of like, okay, let's just do this album because the people want it, and then we're gonna do our own thing, maybe.
You know what's
whatever.
crazy? And just to go back to the Wu-Tang thing, it actually was the reverse of how the Freedom Rider album kind of put together. The 36 Chambers album, from what I've read and heard, is it was all pasted, copy and pasted from RZA. So RZA just said, hey, take that verse, put this on this beat, take old Dirty's acapella, throw this at this part of the song. So he actually masterminded the whole
Put
thing.
it together, yeah.
So there was no real cohesiveness to it, but 36 Chambers is insanely classic.
Yeah.
And yet the albums that people rate behind it are the albums they were actually in the studio together, which is kind of the backwards. So it's weird. But so what you're saying, I wouldn't say that nothing is like it's not going to happen whatsoever. There's definitely a chance of it happening again. But what I would say is everyone would have to have nothing else going on.
So you can give it the proper.
Yeah, like if Tona were to hit the lottery, or Theo 3 gets a $1 million grant, or Progress gets a deal and he says, yo, let's go do this on my dollar. Let's everybody just.
But everybody
drop what
has
you're
to
doing.
rhyme on Belly's beats.
Yeah, it's good music, man. It's good. Shouts to Pro, man. Shouts to Pro. That
I love
guy's
Pro.
my
So-
dude, man.
When all of those brains get into the studio at the same time, how does that work? Because I've worked with these guys, and I've been in a studio where they're like, okay, write a hook, do this.
Yeah.
But when you get into a studio with a whole bunch of guys,
Yeah.
and everybody's brain is thinking differently, how do you come together with an idea? So Sprox gives you a beat, and y'all are like, okay, this is a concept. And then you guys come together and you sit down and you write your shit. How do you decide on whose verse is whack, or, you can't write that shit. That can't go on this song. Like, how do you guys come to that decision that this is what it is?
It's usually a lot simpler than people kind of think it is. For one, it's usually either the beat lends itself to an idea already,
Right.
or it's whoever's first out the gate. So like someone like Tona, who might write real quick, he'll drop the first verse, and if he starts to talk about politicians being corrupt on it, Pro will catch that real quick. And then what's ill about it is that when you got 6 guys in the group, and we're all beasts with it, you want to write quick and you want to write good, because if you're not good enough, you're off the record, and if you're not quick enough, you're not on the record. So it's an ill competition. You want to be a sharp MC, getting yourself in the studio.
That's good though.
Yeah,
Fuck,
no,
man.
and it's great, and that's usually why a lot of them come about.
Has anybody ever been cut from a record like that? No, make it.
Maybe.
Cardinal.
I'm trying to think of on a Freedom Rider record. No, I think on Empire Records, guys have been cut off records before, just because you're like, it doesn't fit whatsoever. It doesn't fit. But for the most part, guys are pretty sharp when it comes to the Freedom Rider guys, because the whole concept of Freedom Riders is that conscious stuff. People kind of know what to touch on. So it's not like one guy comes in there and he's rhyming out of his heart talking about his girl, and the next guy comes in there talking about his groceries. You know what I mean? Guys are pretty, they're.
I can relate to a song about groceries, though, man. I'm just saying.
No, and it's funny that you talk about the conscious side of hip hop, and then there's a other side of hip hop, which is like that commercial bubble gum, the everyday kid and play, happy Kwame shit.
Yeah.
Do you ever find a time where you're like, let me try this? Let me go into this lane. Like, let me try to do something like a Tory Lanez, or put a little auto-tune effect on my voice just to fuck around with the ladies. Like, do you ever want to do that, or do you want to stray far away from that and keep to that boom bap
great
sound?
question.
My whole thing about just music in general and the taking it for my purpose in it is I'm a contrarian by nature. So I do whatever is I feel is needed or is lacking. So if everyone in the world was rhyming like Papoose, I would be the Tory Lane. I would be Flow Rider. I would be the Flow Rider, because I would do that, because I feel like it's missing and it's needed. So because everyone right now is on that, I don't really need to say much content, and I'm just going to do real catchy music. My job is to do the opposite. So for now, and like honestly, as soon as anybody, let's say, because everything rolls in waves, if it ever picks up that everyone starts to get on super lyrical stuff, you might hear me on some auto-tune stuff, but
Just to switch it up.
until then, you
I'm
won't.
waiting for that day. I want to hear
Can
that.
I actually speak to that bomb? I want to play
Yeah.
you something. I want to ask
Yeah.
you a question.
Yeah.
100%. And I'm
No, it's not
hypocritical
Mary
all the
Poppins
time.
either.
I'll say something that I believe in, and then I'll say another record and totally contradicts what I said 2 weeks ago. So I was
Hey,
like,
it's hip-hop.
I'm all over the
It's
map, man.
expression. Sometimes you feel different.
King Rain, right?
Rest in peace, King
Rest
Rain.
in peace.
Hey.
The reason I wanted to play that clip, going back to the Live from Larstone, you have a record on there called Sister Bessie.
Yeah.
Dope. Dope
Respect,
song.
respect.
On the A Material, you have a record on there. What's it called?
Thank God.
Thank
you know?
God.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the Sister Bessie record on the third verse, you're basically talking about how and why religion was created and pretty much just used to control the masses, right?
Yeah.
And then and thank God, it's thank God, praise Jesus, and
Yeah.
Why?
Yes, that's you know what I thought about that even releasing. Thank God, I was like, people are gonna see that. I released that back to back. In essence, and the truth is, I actually wrote Thank God before I wrote Sister Bessie. So that's the one weird thing. But on top of that, I still feel like both apply. I feel like Sister Bessie was shitting on religion, organized religion. Thank God was giving up to whatever the power is that wakes you up in the morning, whatever it is that leads your life in the right direction. If you want to say God is an energy, if you want to say God is a being of some sort, all the power to you, that's cool. My Sister Bessie was just basically saying, yo, stop letting industries run your life. Stop letting whatever it is that you believe in as a faith, that's cool. But whatever makes you do something out your actual core beliefs because you suddenly believe in a story that was told before anything made sense in the world, that makes you a foolish person. So that's kind of where
what is it about religion? If you can, I don't know if you I imagine you probably can because you have a pretty strong viewpoint on that. But what if you can name any one act, maybe you've seen it in the media, it might even be personal, that said, you know what, this religion shit's fucked up.
I mean, all it took is me being of the age of reason. As soon as I was in catechism, which is a class you have to take in order to get like communion and all that stuff. And I was asking my questions back then. And my teacher was just like, just read the book, just read the book. And I was like, yeah, but this doesn't make sense. And this doesn't make logical sense. And
give me an example of what doesn't make sense.
Oh man,
logical sense, if you can. You don't have to break it down.
No, but yeah, just anything. The Noah's Ark make no sense. As far as the animals alone, they said, wait, there's two animals, every animal on it. How are they not eating each other on the boat?
Yeah,
they all animals. How did they separate them? You know, like all that stuff. How did they keep it big enough that it was like just logical? It didn't make sense. And this is just me as a kid. And they were like, no, you don't understand. And then I was like, okay, maybe those stories were just to teach you to do the right thing. So they're just moral stories.
Yeah.
So I remember you used to not to get too deep, but in school we used to have teachers and they would teach us different religions had like, there was like an African story about someone named Anansi, which is like a spider. And I realized, okay, the spider's not actually talking, but the story that they're telling you is teaching you to do the right thing. So I started equating that to religion. I was like, oh, okay, I get the stories now. The stories is about doing the right thing with yourself, but these are not facts. And the only thing that got me frustrated were the people that were saying, no, these are facts. These are real people. These are real stories. It's like, maybe they're just tellers to tell people not being a piece of shit. Don't be a piece of shit. Don't be an asshole to people.
So do you, because I know I have a lot of friends, they don't fuck with religion, but they do believe in God, whatever your God may
higher
be.
Power, whatever.
Do you believe in God?
I just believe in the energy. I believe in putting out good energy because when I have been a person who lives on a negative energy for a large part of my life and it got me absolutely nowhere. So it wasn't until I switched that good things started happening. So I believe in whatever that power is. That is the God that I believe in.
I'm in that same boat with you.
So if
energy is key.
So if I can ask this question to both of you, but before you answer, I'll answer. When you die, what do you think happens? I think you go to judgment, you go to heaven or hell. I'm a Christian. When you die, Bomb, what happens?
I think it's just black. I think it's the same thing as what happened before you were born. Do you remember what happened before you were born?
No.
Well, that's what I think happened.
It's just the end, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And I know that's a morbid thought because a lot of people want to believe that there's something greater and something beyond all of this.
There's a comfort in believing.
Yeah, like you know the movie Flatliners where they kill a motherfucker and then they bring them back to life. It's like that shit. Like you're not seeing nothing after you die. It's just you're gone.
Yeah.
You know, like my wife's dad passed a few years ago.
Yeah.
And she has ashes in a little thing, like you know. And she believes, and he wasn't Christian, like he was raised Catholic because they're Italian, but she was taught after that is there's nothing. It's just, that's it.
Yeah, I think it was like agnostic.
Yeah, because if he lives through something, there would be a little tickle on the foot. There would be a knock on the door. There'd be glasses breaking in the kitchen. So for me, I lived through that experience that, fuck, man, like when we're gone, we're really gone.
Yeah.
And if there was a God, then God, not saying there's not a God, but let me rephrase that. If there was a higher power or an entity bringing that energy through, they would show us something. Yeah. Like, give me something. Show me something that really exists.
But there's miracles.
But for me, there's miracles, but
yeah.
the miracles that I believe in is more of a sense of energy coming through and a spiritual energy that brings people together.
For sure.
So that positive, it's almost like a force. A lot of people believe in this. A lot of people believe that God is a picture of Jesus on a wall. with blonde hair and blue eyes that you pray
Even
to
the
in a
Black
church.
Jesus.
and it's not to take away from anybody who believes in it. I support it 100%.
If you
but
it makes you a better person, go do it.
Exactly.
I think you should do it. So I will never stop anybody from doing
Absolutely
it.
not.
I just won't also listen to your preach on why I should do it. That's all. That's how I keep
Last
it.
question about religion. I promise.
That's a touchy subject.
Yeah,
But that's why I'm asking. This motherfucker made the songs. It wasn't
For
me.
sure.
Yeah.
But everything I think about it is on that song.
Yeah. So okay, we fast forward. Bomb's rich. He's super, super rich. He's famous, and he takes care of me. I don't have to work anymore. He just pays all my bills and gives me free money. You have a kid though.
Yeah.
You have a wife too,
Okay.
and wife is. We'll just say she's semi-religious, but her parents are uber religious.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Are they going to church? Are they getting baptized?
We'll have that discussion. I've never really sat down with it, but what I would say is we can go through the motions. That's fine, but I want the child to pick his own future for himself. I refuse to brainwash him and telling him how things are. Let him choose. If he picks up a Bible at 15 years old, reads it, and says, "This makes sense to me. I'm going to follow it." Do it. If he does the same with the Quran, do it. If he doesn't believe in anything, do it. But you have to make that decision. I refuse to indoctrinate anybody with thoughts. You know what I mean? I refuse to tell somebody what they should think as a kid. Let them grow up and believe in whatever they believe in truly in their own heart.
Thank you.
That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good. Wow. That was good.
Taking it back to hip hop, Bomb.
Back to Buck 65.
Back to Buck 65.
What the fuck was that about?
He's my favorite. No, Bomb. I gotta. Okay, so Empire.
Yeah.
Those guys. Loudmouths.
Yep.
Made Men.
Wow.
Natural Born Strangers. Freedom Writers.
Yep.
And then the long-awaited, what everybody wants, the Atom Bomb and Puzzle Group.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
coming.
that's
Not
it.
fucking around. But I mean, like, so many groups. So many groups.
A lot of groups, man.
When you left Empire, I know, like, when you were with Empire, the Loudmouths and those guys were
A part of it.
part of that.
Yeah.
But when you left Empire, like, was your idea of clicking up with these people?
Yeah.
Was it just like a cult project where you were like, you know what, this Empire thing ain't working out. I'm gonna fuck with this group because this is probably gonna pop. Like, why all the groups?
I mean, first, the group came out of just laziness in the first place. It's just, I didn't, not even just laziness. To be honest, when I was writing records, I didn't feel like I could say enough to fill a whole song that I would want to listen to. So, and also I was inspired. If you get in a room with Trey and you get in a room with Tox or Scandals or Tag, anybody, Pill, you hear them and you're just like, yo, I want to rhyme because this guy just killed it, so I want to jump in there. So it's all very like steel sharpens steel kind of thing. So that's basically what kept you on your toes. That was more of like Empire to me was the best training session in the world. That was like a 10-year training session to be in an MC. You got to be the best performer because you don't want to get outshined by the guys on the stage. So when that was all done, I was just like, okay, what's my purpose now? Do I go out there and just try to make records? And I tried it. I got hollered at by Soze and Esco was Made Men, and then Soze did Mosaic Music. Yeah. And I was trying the one-off records, and I did a couple. I did like Running Scared. I did
Black Limos.
Love
that fucking track.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah. Oh, and and it was just like every once in a while. But those days, then you can tell by how old I am now. I was really making 1-2 records a year because that's how little I had to say. And really, I wasn't interested in making music as a solo artist. It took a lot out of me to even make a full song. So I was just like, maybe music's not for me, and I wrapped it up. I pretty much was done with it. And then I got in a super low point in my life. And then at that point, Brian B. from Legends League hollered at me to do Naturally Born Strangers. In the same week, Sprox had me come down to his studio to do Freedom Writers. Oh, shit. And I was like, oh, shoot. So now I went from having no music and not caring about music to having 2 groups that I got to keep up with. And the first record I did coming back to music was a song called The End, which is the intro to the NBS album. Yeah. Right? And that was the first verse I recorded coming back to music, quote unquote. And I just said to myself going in the booth, I go, yo, if this comes off right, you're supposed to keep doing this. If it's shit and you kind of get that face like he doesn't have it no more, you walk out the booth and you give it to Tony.
Well,
and
you
Rich
guys
and you
won
run
a
with
fucking
it.
Juno.
That came out of nowhere.
So that was awesome.
That was it was another one of those like, what the hell are they doing? Yeah.
Now, I want to come back to, and I'm not trying to bogart the questions here, but I do want to come back to what you were saying
He said
about
he was going to be filled with questions.
I did.
Cool.
I want to come back to what you were saying about not wanting to do music and everything like that, because honestly,
you're gonna steal my
when
question.
I listen to your music, man, you and don't answer this yet, and I'm sorry for bringing it up now, but you sound like you want to do it, but you don't want to do it, but you're so good, you're just disappointed in people that do it, and you shit on them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go to that in a second.
That might be my whole tombstone one day. Yeah, that might be my whole tombstone.
I'm going to go to that in a second. But of all these groups that you worked with, so many, who, in your opinion, and don't give me the political answer. I see it coming.
You think I'm going to do the hockey answer?
And you know, and we were we did good this year. And no, but what group did you make the best music with?
Wow.
And you know, when I get in the booth with Toxic, and he's a good guy this year, and
this
passes the puck and
he puts the puck in the back of the net. Yeah. No, there is a 50-50 answer to it. What I'll say is I have the most fun making records with NBS, and I have a blast with them. But my favorite album is the Now album.
Nice.
My favorite albums that I really love listening to that album front to back. I'm proud of that album. I will show that album to anyone, you know, who says, "Hey Adam, do you make music?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is who I rock with." You know what I mean? But MBS is if you get in the vibe with those guys, man, shit, you have a blast every time, man.
And it's funny because that grew up on that.
Oh my God. Yo, Rich
I
Kid
can't
had me
even-
like, this nigga can rap.
I can't even talk about that song.
That made it to my mixtape because that is the least possible record to make it onto NBS. That was the lowest rated record. That
Really?
got put onto
That song made me sweat, man. That song was fucking
NBS
phenomenal.
is insane.
That song was
We have about
phenomenal.
40 records now with NBS, and
You
every
heard
one
that?
of them, I'm just
Everybody
like,
in the room,
gross.
you heard it?
I heard it.
You heard it?
I heard that.
That's like my number one song.
Oh yeah,
So,
I know. I love it. I love it still. But
Nah,
Like that song I want to bump in the V.
My joint
bump it in
is
the car, man. That shit
is
unbelievable.
Villain.
Villains don't. Villains don't.
Because I liked see, and let's even speak to that for a second. Live from Lars Stone versus A Material. Which one did you prefer, Divine?
To be completely honest,
No, lie to me.
I think they're two different sounds.
They are.
Lars Stone is more boom bap. It's a little bit more raw, street. A Material has a little mix of everything. If I had to pick one that I would bump in the whip when I'm driving, I'm picking A Material.
Okay.
Right.
At home on headphones, it's gonna be Lars Stone.
I'll answer first then.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? We talked about we broke down the Live from Lars Stone album on our show, and my whole thing, which Live from Lars Stone was dope.
Yeah,
I love the production. It's
the
boom, that's my
production's-
shit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like the ignorant bomb. I like the fucking the intro bomb, the shit talk bomb, and I feel like I got more of that on A Material. And there was a lot of conceptual records on Live from Lars Stone.
There was.
But I still would. I have to go with the Lars Stone album. Like the A Material was sick. It was dope because it was mad ignorant shit. Fantastic. My favorite Adam Bomb. But like, I'm always drawn to that production, that boom bap shit.
But that's my favorite too.
Yeah.
But that's headphone music for
You
me.
even had
hear
some.
what
You
you're
even had
saying?
some on the
Like-
A Material shit where you were kind of like, oh fuck. It was the Thank God with Frankie Payne.
Frankie Payne, yeah.
Yeah, you were kind of doing like it was like that stop and go flow. I never heard you do that before.
Yeah, because the secret behind those two albums and even the third album that I have at the end of the year is all three were written at the same time. But anything that was on a Sprox beat was going to go towards Lars Stone, and then the other stuff that was, let's say, more modern, was going to go on either the last album or this album that's just out now, or mixtape, whatever you want to call it. It's A Material.
Yeah.
And it was a big concern as what we were going to put out first, because I hadn't put out any solo material that I just kind of stamped my name on. Wasted Talent came out as a compilation of shit that just happened to come out because we had a grant pending. So we just had to wrap up some stuff that was floating around and put it out.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. Okay. That's
I was
how it
so
works.
excited for that album. And then when I got it, I'm like, I've heard almost all these songs.
Gotcha.
Motherfucker.
Gotcha, motherfucker. Yeah. So no, but so when that came out, and I feel bad, but I had to do that. But
Yeah.
so the thing was I didn't say like there was a big buzz for it, but there was people asking for a solo project, and it was a big debate: is do I go first with A Material, which is more current, which is what people are like, what is he doing nowadays, or do I go with Lars Stone, which I felt was a better compiled album, which was a better like front to back listen.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So that was my two debates. Now the problem with that was that either A, we were gonna put out Lars Stone stuff, and people were like, oh, Adam's still stuck in his fucking old school '96 days.
Oh, man,
and
we're
this
gonna
is all
talk
he
about
makes.
that,
You know,
yeah.
this is all he makes. And then A material was gonna come, or the opposite was gonna be like, okay, we drop A material in that order. You know, it's a little bit of both, a little bit of boom bap, a little bit of, you know, newer school and sound and stuff. And then for some reason we go back to Larstone, which is a throwback.
Yeah.
So it was really like we had me and my boy Joey had sit downs and say like, no, we can do this first and we can go that first, and then the winner ended up being Larstone first. It could have went either way, but it was nice to do both. You know?
Sorry, do you feel like you should have maybe waited a little bit longer to release A material?
No, because I think Larstone had his time in the sun. People have the attention span of Cocker Spaniels now,
Yeah.
so they don't. You know what I mean? Like, I could have really released A material the next week, and people would be like, "All right, cool,
I'm
when's the next
actually
one?"
glad that
Yeah,
he put
that's
the album out so soon.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering because back in the day, you used to have to wait for fucking ever to
Yeah.
get a new album from an
Yeah.
artist. Like A Tribe Called Quest puts out this album, then 2 years later you get the next one.
Yeah.
But now it's like people are just putting out products so fast you can't even keep up with
And
it. You know
I
what I mean?
I spent 10 years trying to finally put together solo stuff, and then now I got a third one coming at the end of the year. So I'm hoping to do back to backers, and then plus the NBS sequel, plus the Freedom Rider sequel that's out right now. So I'm trying to make up for lost time. That's the whole goal.
Sorry, for you,
Yeah.
like because I listen to music from morning to night, man. I'm just I'm a nerd like that. When you like, what's on your playlist right now? Like, what are you listening to? Because you can't be listening to yourself.
No, I never.
You can.
I
mean,
cringe. I
if you
try
want to listen.
no,
You don't listen to your own music?
I don't listen to it after we record.
You don't
it.
listen
I
to your own music
I
either. You don't even
bump
want me
my-
playing the shit we did on this show.
Yeah, not
man.
on the show, but I bump my shit all the
To make
time.
sure
I
it's
do
correct.
too,
Go
but
ahead.
I don't listen to it after we record it. I don't
No.
listen to it until it's out. Then I take
Wow.
a listen to see what people will hear when they get it, and then
Right.
I never hear it again unless someone happens to play it
You
in
just
the car or
catalog
something
it,
like that.
move on.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's not for me. I know how it goes. Because you got to think about it. It's almost like probably like filming your own movie. You know every take you would have did differently.
Yeah,
know
you start
every error.
dissecting the shit.
Yeah, I can't listen
Yeah,
to it.
I'm the
like
same
someone
way.
else
I'm
would.
the same
So
way,
That's
yeah.
kind of how it goes.
I want to go back
You
to.
didn't let him answer the
I'm
question.
sorry, I do that all the time. All right, go ahead.
Well,
Yeah,
What was the question?
listen?
Just a few things like what's on
Oh,
your
who
playlist?
am I
What's on
listening to?
Bomb's playlist, man?
I'm a weird guy, man. Like I don't just listen to rap stuff a lot. I like a lot of old sound and stuff. So even if it's not old Motown stuff, I love Amy Winehouse and
Nice.
I love
We talked
anything
about
like
one of
that.
her albums on
Back
for
to
the
Black. Back to Black.
classic
Yeah,
album. Yeah.
I love Sam Cooke and all that old
Nice.
stuff. And then when it comes to rap stuff, I'm kind of a guy. I can't. Maybe I'm just an old white guy, but I can't stand. I can't stand a lot of like loud, especially tone. Like that's why I can't even listen to my stuff really either, because I kind of have a loud, high pitched voice a little
think
bit.
so?
it's hard to
Oh,
listen to
okay.
it. If you listen to someone like a Planet Asia, it's kind of smooth. If
Yeah,
you listen to
yeah.
Black Thought's real easy.
Like
to
a
listen
CL
to.
Smooth or something. Yeah,
so
yeah,
anyone
yeah.
who finds that kind of thing, I'll listen to more. Though, like I love AG stuff, and I love.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys know who KA is.
No.
Bro, I'm
No.
telling you, if you, it's a stretch. Some people I show them and they're like, "This is boring to me," and other people are like, "Why do I not know this?" And they listen to everything he did. Yo, that Big Crit, I like Big Crit.
Big
Yeah,
Crit's
He's
dope.
sick.
Big
Yeah.
But
Crit's
it's just kind of
dope.
those guys that make musical stuff, but you know their rhymes are still dope. That's kind of the stuff I dig.
So
for
those
real.
are those the MCs that influence you in a way?
Yeah, if
Yeah?
I can get
Okay.
3 features before I retire, those
Yeah.
that I want to get KA, I want to get Black Dot, and I want to get Crit.
Black Thought's in my top 5.
Black Thought's dope.
He's
Love
my,
him.
He's my top one. That's my favorite
Really?
of all time. Black Thought.
Thank you for
That's
saying
it.
that.
No, underrated.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Not too many people talk about Black Thought, but he is
Insane.
a fucking beast.
And he gets better.
yeah.
This is insane. Yeah.
I want to go back to what you were saying earlier about when I was saying that you seems like you want to do music but you don't, but the people who do music, you're like, I can do it better than you, so fuck you. When I listen to A Material, you know, like, okay, so you 30 for 30.
Yeah.
If you wanted them, you would have had them. One shot. I'm stuck in a stage where a change ain't coming. Therapeutic with Pill, which was awesome that you did that.
Yeah,
by
I
the
try
way.
to keep an Empire feature. every
Awesome.
record, Yeah.
Shit, at this age, what is it worth to be content with hitting the stage and printing shirts when your friends is getting engaged and giving birth?
Yeah.
You sound like you don't want to do it, but you're so fucking good you have to do it.
I mean, it's one of those things. I'm probably the most reluctant rapper of all time. Like,
Yeah.
if you give me the option to not go on stage or go on stage, I'll tell you I just want to go home. Like, I'd rather be doing other things. I'd rather be just drinking a 12-pack than hitting the stage. Like, because you do anything for long enough, you lose its luster, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, is once you're on stage, there's no better feeling in the world. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, I don't care about it until you're up there and you're like, oh yeah, this is why I love it. And then I do it again for another month.
Okay,
You know
watch
what I mean?
this. Okay, so there's a lot of shitty, especially today, right? Like the audience, the people who consume music, who actually buy records or stream them,
Yeah.
they're so fucking stupid. So they get drawn to anything, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to speak to Bad Baby. You know the Cash Me Outside girl?
Yeah. Oh, that's her name.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah. Bad Baby.
I
So
didn't
she
know.
got signed to a multi-million-dollar deal.
Yeah.
Right. She's not talented at all.
No.
But the point is like one thing that nobody can knock about her is she grinds. Like she has a brand and she pushes her brand. She works hard.
We all
So
know who you're talking about. So she's
exactly.
done something.
So in the Furthermore record, you say something along the lines if skills. Something I would have went diamond twice and spent it on pride. So what I'm trying to say is, can you be mad at a horrible artist that works super, super hard, and there's a lazy artist? I'm not talking about you, but there's a lazy artist who's just incredible.
Yeah.
Could you be mad at that horrible artist that grinds?
No, I'd be more mad at the lazy guy for wasting everybody's time and be like, yo, you're so nice with it. You should be putting more into this. But I can never shit on anybody. If you can somehow, feed your kids and feed your family and live off of your crafts, I salute you for that already. Because you could be doing a lot worse shit out there. Could be just, bothering people as a telemarketer. You could be
hey, man.
You could be selling drugs. You could be doing a lot of shit that, are not using your full potential. If for some reason you wake up in the morning and someone is paying you to get in the studio, you might not make music that I care to. And if somebody ever asks you if I like you, I will 100% say, no, you're shit. I don't like him at all. But I'll never say this guy shouldn't be an artist. There's no reason to stop someone else's art.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
So
I say that on Furthermore too. I don't live longer by reducing your survival. What you eat don't make me shit kind of stuff.
So you would never block no one's hustle because they're shit and you're fantastic.
I mean, do your shit. As long as you don't stop me when I try to do my shit, because I'm just trying to feed my family. I'm trying to feed my circle of people. That's all I'm trying to do. And I would hope that somebody just says, "Oh fuck this guy, he's not as nice as me, so fuck him." I'm just trying to get my fans of people, because there are people out there, regardless of how garbage it is, whatever her name is. She
Bad
probably
Baby.
will.
There's a lane for everything.
She'll pack up the ACC.
What's the other fucking chick that everybody's
Cardi B?
dogging? No, the white girl with the blonde hair. Chanel something or
West Coast.
Chanel West Coast.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, there's a lane for everybody.
There is, and
you know what I mean. We may not like it, but there's a 12-year-old at home that wants to be just like that.
Don't you hate
girl.
that shit though?
You know what I'm
Bomb,
saying?
Come on, this is me.
I would never listen to it. I'll tell someone to turn it off because I'm like, yo, what is this? This is garbage.
Yeah, I'm not
it's
gonna
not
support that.
When I tell you that I all the best to you, doesn't mean I'm buying tickets. I'm not buying tickets to your show just
You
because
just you
have
don't
to make
wish
music.
you don't wish anybody's demise. Like you just want, if they're gonna succeed in that lane, by all means go for it. But that's not for you.
It makes no fucking difference to me. That's the thing is, people get cheesed out here, especially in Toronto and Canada. They'll see a guy like Jazz Cartier, they see Tory or Drake, and they'll be like, man, fuck, that was my spot, man. That was my spot. You're like, bro, let him eat. And then you go eat, and everyone fucking eats. Like,
eating.
He's not taking food out of your mouth. Guy. Just go and get your own food, man. And that's the thing is, I don't watch nobody's shit, man. If you do good and I like your music, all the best. If you do good and I don't care for you, there's tons of guys that are dope guys, and I don't care about their music. I'll hail them up and be like, yo, do your shit, bro, but I don't care about any of your songs. It's not me being fake. I will tell them, yo, I don't listen to any of your shit.
Yeah.
Keep making music because somebody else is listening to your shit, but I will never listen to your shit. I'm not your fan. But sometimes stuff's not for me.
Would you do a record with a shitty artist if the paycheck was right?
No. I'm gonna die in whatever amount of years. There's no reason for me to put out music I'm not happy with. You know what I mean?
I like that answer.
If some guy, if times get tough and someone like, if my rent needs to be paid, don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing away $1,000. Somebody trying to throw me $1,000.
Yeah.
That's fine. But that's stuff that if they're gonna put out, that's okay, cool. But my preference is to make music I'm proud of and stuff that I want for people to see well after I'm gone.
Is there a record out there right now floating around in cyberspace, one click away from Pornhub, that you got paid for, that you're like, oh God, I hope nobody hears that?
See, I tried personally to do my best of it, but there's been, I think, 2 or 3 times when I recorded my verses that they shifted the vocals and still put the record out, and it makes me sound like I'm fucking retarded. I'm just like, why? I don't care because you paid me, cool, but man, why would you make me sound like an idiot? Because somebody will hear that, and that'll be the first thing they hear of me, and then 2 years later, someone will say, hey, have you ever heard of Adam? And we're like, yeah, I have one of his songs here, and they'll put it on and be like, this is the guy you like? He's terrible. Yeah, so
can't rhyme on beat. What the fuck?
So bad.
Yeah, those are the shit. But yeah, get your shit right, engineers.
I remember the first time I think I saw you guys on stage, Freedom Writers. I'm going back to that for a minute. I think it was at Manifesto.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, these guys are fucking phenomenal. And I remember that song. It was a song that I got stuck in my head even to this day, The Soldier.
Oh,
and you guys did like a little routine on stage, like, I'm a soldier.
Bro.
And you had the crowd just going fucking bananas. Like, I'm not sure if you would be
No,
able to remember that.
Soldier is
but-
my favorite song from.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite songs I've ever been on.
Yeah, that's one of my
love it.
favorite tracks,
It's just
too.
a wicked record.
It's
yeah, man.
fantastic. And it's kind of like, I remember that Freedom Riders, and I remember that moment because we were going all over the place, like Toronto, London, all over the place. And then we saw you perform at this fucked up place in St. Catharines.
Oh shit!
Do you remember that show?
I do. I want to tell you the
Yeah.
story about that.
Because that show was one of the most unorganized shows. And it was pouring ass rain that day.
Oh,
it was
about the cookout. Oh, sorry.
Oh, the
yeah, I know what
cookout.
you're talking
Yeah.
about. Okay, sorry.
I don't know who
Yeah.
the hell organized that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that to me. Like,
Yeah.
I remember you guys did the outdoor stage.
We were
And the
on, like,
stage
a
was like
tent.
the size of this like table and,
And we were
shit.
just shoulder to shoulder on the stage. Yeah,
And I was thinking to myself, these are some big ass fucking dudes. Like, you guys aren't small. Like, how are they performing on this?
We coulda
this
easily
little
collapsed
cube.
that
Yeah,
stage,
you could have
yeah.
collapsed that
Yeah.
stage. Like, when you look back at moments like that, I don't know if you guys are getting paid. That's none of my business.
No,
but
no.
when you think back of moments where, you know, you've been put on a platform to perform in front of thousands of people.
Sure.
What's your work? Because to me, I remember we had to leave that show. Like, I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we can't fucking stay here.
I
Like,
remember that
I
show.
remember you guys going on. We're like, okay, we're gonna stay to see Freedom Riders and we're
Yeah.
the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Do you like? What's the worst place or show you've ever had to
Oh,
rock?
bro, I will tell you. And there's two parts to that answer. One, you hit the fucking nail on the head. It's one of the things that crushes. Like if what he's talking about being reluctant and being like, what's your problem with the business or whatever.
Yeah.
One of the things that brings you down so much about it is when you do a show like Manifesto or you do it like we did two back-to-back shows in Mod Club and both of them were sold out shows
On
thankfully,
College
or whatever.
Street.
Yeah.
Nice,
So
okay, yeah,
what
yeah.
happened was we did like I think we did like a Great Hall. The Great Hall had like 1,000 people. Then we did Manifesto. Manifesto had like 2,000 people in the crowd. Then we
Right.
did what's it called Mod Club.
Yeah.
And Mod Club was that capacity. So you start to feel this escalation that goes, and then
Yeah.
the next show you do has 4 people in it. That that deflation.
Wow,
yo,
my
that-
man said 4 people.
That deflation is one of the worst feelings. Like sometimes I say to myself, I hope I never ever hit a hit ever.
Yeah,
Because once
yeah.
you hit that and then go down from there, sometimes you don't want to hit the peak because the valleys will burn you. Bro,
Yeah,
because you
I
don't want to
feel
ever
you.
feel those. So anyhow, to go to what that was about was, we did a packed show one night as Empire, and
Yeah.
we were like, "Yo, we're on to something."
Yeah.
The next show we did was with a guy named Graf. You remember who Graf?
Yeah,
is?
Graph.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he
yeah,
went
yeah.
in Toronto at Opera House. And we went in the side door of Opera House, went straight downstairs.
Yeah.
In the basement of Opera House, Empire always rolled like 25 deep. Graf had his gang of guys, and there might have been one other performing group, and they were all downstairs. So we had maybe 110 people downstairs, and we're drinking, we're pumped up. We're like, yo, let's do this. We stepped out on stage, and I hand to God, bro, this is not exaggeration. Who was there outside of the people on stage was the bouncer and the bartender.
Come on,
And that was it
Wow.
for the entire night. And I
God.
remember thinking, I was like, wow, we ain't shit.
And you had to perform in front of that.
Bro, we didn't go on. We said fuck it, but he had to go on because he got paid, so he had to go on. But I was just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
man,
yeah.
and I've seen it happen tons of times.
So
Not
that
to-
was worse than the cookout?
Yeah, it was.
Really?
It was worse. Yeah, and
'Cause
I
the
remember
cookout-
the cookout was it hurt too, man.
That
'cause
was
I thought we
pretty-
were on to some
yeah.
shit, and then but I was like maybe it's weather related, those sort of shit.
You know what
but-
though? I don't know who organized it, and not to cut you, but I just
No.
feel as though a lot of the artists and the artists that I was rolling with to that show.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want to mention any names, but
No.
the people who I was rolling with to the show that day.
Yeah.
It to me that was embarrassing because
Yeah.
we were there to do a show and rock the stage, and then nobody knew what time they were going on, and
No,
it was
and-
pouring rain, and nobody knew who was paying who, if they were getting paid, and it
It burns me as a performer when it happens to me. Oh yeah, respect. Man. It
mix.
burns me as a performer when it happens to me. I'm just like, okay, I ain't shit, but I kind of knew I wasn't shit. What hurts me is when I know I'm watching someone who's like a Grammy Award winner or someone who I know has sold out stadiums.
Right,
Like,
right,
I went to
right.
Maya once, and I don't mean to drop names, but I went to go see Maya in Buffalo,
Maya, the
New York.
singer.
Maya,
Wow.
who sang Ghetto Superstar and many other hits. And no word of a lie, there was 6 people at a university stadium.
oh
And I was
my
like,
God.
For myself, I was like, okay, this is hilarious. But for her, I was like, imagine that feeling.
You felt
performed
her-
at
you felt the
Grammys at
pain
one
for
point.
her.
At
Someone-
one
yeah,
time
yeah.
in your life, someone had to stop a crowd from touching you, and now you're standing in front of 6 people. The deflation of that makes
Yeah.
me make those reluctant records when I'm just like,
Wow.
what am I doing? Because eventually, even if this goes well, it will return to that. So what's the really, what are you really aiming for? So that's when I had to separate am I trying to make music for making the craft, or am I looking for attention? Because if you're doing it for attention purposes, it will fade and you're going to feel like shit. So you got to make it for just the purpose of making art.
Very
that's
true.
it. Yeah.
I want to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's totally fine. I was just gonna say, just quickly. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
My
you should
apologies.
be sorry.
My
You
apologies.
should
Sorry
be
about
sorry.
that. I'm so sorry.
Just on have you ever got to the point, and I know we've had this discussion before about like just music in general. Has there been a point where you're like, fuck this?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna work. Fuck music. Forget
That's
the mic.
what I was saying the entire time.
Yeah.
No. But
It
I
sounds
know
like he's gonna throw in the towel any day now.
to me, I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that because I don't know. I go a little bit. I don't know. I just listen to it because it's good music.
Yeah.
But do you ever think to yourself, okay, I'm Adam Baum. People like my music. I'm number 15 on this list, which I think you should be a lot higher. Anyways, that's just me speaking because I'm a fan. Fuck
Fuck
it.
Chocolate.
I should have brought my CD so you can sign it. But anyways, do you ever think to yourself, fuck this shit? You know what, Sprox? You know what? I'm done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you ever think like that? Because
So
I would hope you don't do that.
Yeah.
But I think you still have a lot of time in your career where you can still excel and you can still make hot records and people will love it.
Yeah, I've hit once that I was saying about earlier where I got to the point where it's like I did stop and I'm like, okay, I'm done and I'm cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on a big high after that because everything started clicking and everything was working. And then there's times all the time I get exhausted. I think earlier today I thought about, okay, this is after this album, I'm done.
Yeah.
But then, you do something like this and you're like, man, other people, all they get to do is just go to their job and they don't get to do this sort of thing. So,
Exactly.
you kind of start shitting on your privilege that
But-
you get
but
out of
what-
that.
Very true. Very
know?
true.
What made you want to say you're done with it though?
I mean, when you see potential in something happening, that's
Yeah.
all I need. All I need is a small window open, and I'll run hard. I'll do it all day long. I'll stay up for 36 hours straight.
Okay.
Either making music, doing artwork, whatever it takes to make that happen. Just because you showed me a little potential. When something that you work really hard for ends up flopping, and I don't mean just an empty show. I mean either something doesn't sell or everything you put your heart into, somebody's like, this is not really good compared to your other stuff. Then you're like, oh shit, I thought it was really dope.
Yeah.
Any sort of thing like that, as soon as you're just like, man, you know what? Maybe I don't have what it takes. If that doesn't cross your mind as an artist, you're fucking super confident.
Yeah,
man.
no,
I don't know how you
and
live
that
like
will,
that.
yeah, no,
And it does all the time. And think about it. I'm always in the room with really dope dudes. I'm sitting in a room with Rich Kid. I know Rich Kid deserves to be a billionaire off of his talent. I'm sitting in there as a fan of Rich Kid in a room with him. I've done a record with Mathematic, and I'm just like, yo, fuck, I used to buy this guy's songs.
Yeah.
There's no reason I should be in this room. But it's for every episode, every time that's happened to me is the reason why I continue to do it.
That's
Because,
what pushes you.
I got a chance to go in a room with a guy that I was a fan of. I'm the reason, if I get stopped on the way to the studio yesterday and someone's like, yo, I grew up on your shit, or, I used to know Rich Kid from 10 years ago and you guys made me write better. I got to keep doing that. You owe that to people who actually invested their time and money into listening to you or took time off to go to your show.
I want to speak to money for a second. When you put out the Live from Larstone album, I shared or whatever like that, and I asked and I said, why are you not selling this? And I just want to speak to that a little bit more because I'm like, it's like you said, like you take breaks between albums, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just like, fuck, everybody knows Bomb. Bomb puts out a project. People are gonna buy it. They're gonna buy it because it's Bomb. Okay, and then it's Sprox, so a lot of samples. So I figure, okay, I get that. But then A Material comes out, still a free album.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, two reasons for that. One is I believe in legacy over currency. I want to put out music, and I don't care what comes back to me financial wise. And that, on top of that, is because I don't have the huge fan base that I would hope to have one day.
How do you know you don't have that fan base?
Because I know that if I put out an album for free download and I can get 17,000 downloads, that would make me feel better than to get 200 purchases. Because the money I would get with 200 purchases at $10 a pop is nice. That will take care of my rent and some groceries.
Yeah.
Cool. That's all right. But I would rather 17,000 people, or is that the number I gave?
Yeah,
I'd rather that many people hear it and then say, yo, I got this for free. I'm going to send this to my cousin. I'm going to send this to my friend. I'm going to let my girl hear this just because it's free. I'd rather the word get out there. And you know what I mean? If I can get a country to listen to my shit for no money, I'd rather have that than be the richest guy with no actual fans. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
I don't
It will
care
touch
about
more
that.
people than that.
Yeah, and that's the goal. And I mean, at the bottom line is this is 2017. Albums are not selling. I make more money doing a show. So if I can bring out 1,000 people to a show, that does me more than making 1,000 sales.
So the music is almost a promo to come check the show.
That's all it is. It's a poster. And that's all it is. And I can give them out one at a time, but I still believe in the idea of a full project.
Are you going to sell any of your albums?
I believe the one at the end of the year will be office. I mean, right now, A Materials
Both of them you have. I don't mean to cut you off,
Yeah.
but you have both of them on the Bandcamp, which is Name Your Price.
Yeah, pay what you want. Yeah. But A Material will be like next week will be on like Spotify and iTunes. So there'll be like money you can make off of the download there, and streaming you can get some money off and revenue off of that. The one at the end of the year will probably be $10 to buy it, and then it's also gonna have streaming or whatever.
You sons of bitches out there listening to this, make sure you go and buy the album, including the Live from Large Stone, A Material. It's on his Bandcamp. What's that? The Legend Adam Baum.
Yeah, legendadambaum.com. That's the best thing to go to the website, and it'll bring you to everywhere else you need to
Please
be.
buy it.
Did you
Buy
press
it.
hard copies of A Material?
No, I didn't do that for this. We just put straight. Yeah.
I like CDs.
I
I'm
know.
an
I
old
asked-
school
I asked
nigga.
him- I asked him earlier
I like
today,
having
too.
CDs in the car, man. I
We
like
have
to pop
debates
that
about
in.
that all the time too. I don't know if it's ever done. Like, eventually they're gonna stop making cars with CD player. I think they've already started that.
Yeah.
So-
I'll
Yeah, they
always
are.
find a way.
Yeah, but they're actually putting out cassette
Always
tapes
find a
now,
way.
eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some new cassette tape shit.
Cassettes.
What? What's that?
They're putting out cassette tapes again.
They better. I'll buy a double din.
Yeah, Bozak, he releases cassette tapes and
Yeah,
vinyl.
all the time. You should see
Bozak,
my
man.
cassette collection,
Yeah,
man. It's
Bozak's dope.
crazy.
Yo. Just to switch gears for a second, like I told you, I was stalking your Twitter, and I seen you on Twitter. You said this is kind of interesting. You're very blunt. Those cops should be dead already. Even the score before the courts fail to deliver justice once again. Hashtag Alton Sterling. And then you say, if the new rule is shoot anything with a gun, I know where you can find a whole precinct of new targets.
I said that one.
You said
Sick.
that shit, yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I guess my question to that would be, should we be shooting cops?
I don't give a fuck. To be honest with you, here's the thing. There's not all bad anything, right? So there are good cops, but fuck them. To be honest with you, as a unit, as a collective, they do not give a fuck about people's well-being. As a fucking collective, there's probably 3 or 4 amazing cops on every force that care about their community and they care about their fellow officers and they just care about their families and they want to go home to their families.
Yeah.
All the best to those guys, but you work in an industry that's full of pieces of shit. And if you don't get those people out of your precinct, eventually it's going to turn on you. And it's only a matter of time before people start saying, fuck these people. Because, man, I feel blessed that I don't have to deal with the fucking insane amount of stuff that people who are just a few shades darker in skin tone have to deal with, not just from society as whole, but fucking people who are supposed to be there to protect them. That's ridiculous in 2017. Ridiculous. Like, that should be stories that people are telling from the 30s, 40s, and 50s at worst. That shouldn't even have happened then. The fact that it happens in 2017, I'm telling you now that if I knew someone personally that got killed by a cop, that cop's dead the next day. No problem. I have no concern.
I think the answer to this, based on what you said, I think the answer to this next question should be obvious. If you're a police, this is obviously hypothetical. You're a police officer, you're married, 2 kids, you're a white guy, and all the shit's popping off right now. Are you vocal about this? Are you going to speak up as a white police officer?
Yeah, I mean, if you got into this business, I'm hoping that people have the best interest, and that's the reason they got into the business. I'm hoping that they got onto the force because they're like, yo, I want to make a difference in an area, in a community, in a city. I want to solve crimes because I don't want crimes to continue. I hope that's the reason they got on. I hope they weren't just idiots that got picked on in school and just said, I can't wait to have a gun because if anyone fucks with me, once I have a gun, I'm going to shoot them. So, like, those are the people I have a feeling are on the force. You know what I'm saying? If you're on the force and you're trying to make a difference and you see some bullshit going on within your district, I know that they have a code of blue where you're just like, look,
Yeah,
if you
they
fuck
bleed
up,
blue.
because you have to have that unified belief, because if you break that and you're both out on if me and you are just boys, not even cops, if me and you are boys and we have a mistrust between each other, if we go out into any sort of a war situation where somebody's going to come against us, I'm not going to trust you to have my back whatsoever, and I'll probably end up taking you out just because I don't trust you whatsoever. So that's why cops are so severely protective of each other, even when they're wrong. But
Really tight
you
knit.
have to recognize when the people in your circle are wrong. If the people I rolled with were doing things even close to as foul as people with badges are doing, I would have checked them already. They would have been out of my circle and they would have been out of my life. That needs to happen within the force. Get rid of every one of these guys. If you feel an instant that these guys are racist, get them off the force. If you feel that they're psychos, get them off the force. If they're abusive, get them off the force, because you're dealing with people's lives. You're going to hurt somebody, and so eventually what's going to happen, and not to get super preachy, is the good guy on the force is going to go out there, and he's going to get blasted in the head because of someone else someone else's conduct. You know what I mean? And that's what the problem is now. These guys are all out there scared. They're working scared because now they know I have so many coworkers that have done this wrong that now I'm in trouble.
Right.
And I'm like, hey,
that's true. I actually never.
That's very true.
I never looked at it that way. I know. I was always thinking they're out there scared because of everything that's going on.
They're reaping the consequences of the actions
of the other officers. So why won't they just say anything? Like, okay, if you're a cop, would you just quit the force?
At some point I would have to, but at the same time, is when mortgages due, who's to say, hey, just quit your job, man? That seems like a simple thing to say. So I can see someone who think about it, they went through the steps of going through training, going through the academy, getting on there. That's their dream job that they wanted to do. They're finally in. They're going to see some bad seeds and say, whoa, man, you guys are cold. I'm getting out of here. In a dream world, that's what they would do. But to be honest, that's the only way to really save your life, because what's happening is you're joining a force of people that the world does not like anymore.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's for your own safety. Don't be a part of it. Don't be a part of it. Say, I'm washing my hands of this. And hopefully there's one day where we can say that we actually have, an entire force that's just out there looking for the good of the people. But until that's the case, man, I'm always going to be pro-people, anti-blue.
With that, I want to get into another fan of. I know you're a fan of this guy. This guy right here. This little son of a bitch.
Who's that?
It's your favorite guy. I see everybody talk about him on Twitter all the time. He's on CNN. Listen to what he said. Listen to what he said about a dead guy.
I was at Mar-a-Lago, and we had this incredible ball, the Red Cross ball. You have all these really rich people. And a man, about 80 years old, very wealthy man, a lot of people didn't like him, he fell off the stage. Wow. This guy falls off right on his face, hits his head, and I thought he died. And you know what I did? I said, oh, my God, that's disgusting, and I turned away. I couldn't, he was right in front of me. I turned away. I didn't want to touch him. The Marines, this is a great thing.
Somebody clean that up.
No, the Marines, he's bleeding all over the place. I felt terribly. Beautiful marble floor, didn't look so good. It changed color. It became very red. And you have this poor guy, 80 years old, laying on the floor, unconscious. And all of the rich people are turning away. Oh, my God, this is terrible. This is disgusting. And, they're turning away. Nobody wants to help the guy. His wife is screaming. She's sitting right next to him. She's screaming. What happens is these 10 Marines from the back of the room, they were so far back. It's a huge ballroom, Mar-a-Lago. You've been there.
Right, I've seen it.
So from the back of the room, they come running forward. They grab them. They put the blood all over the place. It's all over their uniforms. They're taking it. They swipe. They ran them out. I never saw it. They ran like...
You would never do that.
I was saying, get that blood cleaned up. It's disgusting.
You wouldn't shake hands with him.
In fact, I forgot to call the next half. I forgot to call to say, is he okay? He was okay.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing. So, when you're
afraid of catching a disease through the phone.
It's not even a disease. I just don't like looking at blood.
Would you ever have sex with a woman when she's menstruating? Because there's blood involved.
Good question, yeah.
Well, I think we all have.
So basically, Donald Trump is saying he's not going to help someone who's fighting for their life because there's blood, but at the same time, he would have sex.
I'll stick my dick in blood.
Yeah. Listen, with Donald Trump, obviously we all have our own opinions, but what are your thoughts on Trump? Does he make white people look bad?
He makes humans look bad.
Yeah.
He's on, and I hate to, I could do a whole hour just on how much hatred I have for this guy. There's very few people I actually have hate for in the world, and he's somebody that every time he opens his mouth, it's the exact opposite of what should have been said or done. He's the worst person alive at the moment. The day he dies, the world gets a little bit better. The saddest part is, to be honest, and I know it's a fucking, it's a general thing to say, and I honestly wanted to tweet it a few times already because everything he says is absolutely moronic.
Yeah.
Whoever kills him, I'll tattoo your name on me. Watch this, though.
That's fantastic.
If you murder him, and then murder anyone who shows up to his funeral, and then murder anyone who shows up to their funeral, continue that process, the world will get amazing. You will have so much progress. We'll be checking out Mars in 10 years. True. Because we'll have abortion packed away, we'll have gay rights packed away, everything will be correct with the world. We'll have everything the way it should be. We'll all be actually on a progressive state of mind the day you get rid of all of these backwards thinking people.
Yeah.
And someone like Trump is just the epitome of what is wrong with the world. He is just absolute shit.
With how he responds to the races clashing, black people, Hispanic people, brown people, whatever. Yeah. Remember when that issue happened and he was saying, "Oh, there was good on both sides, bad on both sides." Yeah. Do you feel? And me and Divine talked about this. Do you feel that white people have a responsibility to separate themselves from the racist white people. So let me just be more specific in my line of questioning. Divine answered the question. He says, oh, your boy's with Patrick. You know Patrick is not a racist person. Why do you feel Patrick needs to step up and say something? You know he doesn't believe in that shit.
Okay.
If I know you and I know you don't believe in that shit,
Yeah.
do you still feel like white people, or even yourself, do you have a responsibility to speak up against ignorant white people who are racist?
I think white, black aside, stand up against bullshit. Call out bullshit for everybody. There should be nobody who gets a blind because they're your friend or because it's going to risk your employment or whatever it is. When there's garbage out there, you got to correct it, because all it's going to do is leak into another generation. The faster we can cut this off so that kids can grow up in an actual society that we all wanted to grow up in, or at least the sane ones do. I don't understand what some of these other people thinking. The better off we're going to be. So if you see bullshit, if you see prejudice, call it out. And like, as much as I hate, and you've seen me rap about it, I hate things like ultra technology, like people who are on their phones all the time, and people who are obsessed with selfies and anything that's super superficial.
Blindfold.
As much as I hate that stuff, the one thing I do like, that I love seeing happen, I love seeing these people lose their jobs because they're just pieces of shit and they're finally getting caught. Like the idiot woman that was demanding to see a white doctor.
Oh,
film them. Get their
Do you
phone
remember
out,
that
film
shit?
them, get her out. Like there's I see guys all the time. Guys, there was a guy who was I talking to recently. Oh, I was talking at Union Station, and when he walked by, there was a guy with a turban on, and his girlfriend was holding him back from another guy, a white guy, and the white guy was like, "You can wear a shirt that says anything you want," and he kept saying the word shirt, so I decided to look over and look, because he's obviously referring to a shirt.
Yeah.
This guy just had a shirt that had a swastika hand-drawn on the sleeve, and then on the shirt it said something about like death to all Islam or something like that, that he wrote with marker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, bro, if you, for some stupid reason, believe that this is the right thing to believe in the world, I hope you don't have kids, but keep it in your own stupid head.
Yeah.
Don't go out there and put it on a shirt. What are you bringing to the world that day by saying, hey, I can do this, so I'm going to just wear this shirt?
Yeah.
Because obviously this guy snapped on him and whatever. That's what the incident was. I'm just saying, people like that should have been filmed right away, because I guarantee if that guy got fired the next day, he'd be like, oh, shit, so I can't just be a piece of shit to everybody in the world based on their belief system, based on their skin color, based on their wardrobe.
Yeah.
If this is what I don't even want to get preachy on your podcast.
Please
but
do.
I get super cheesed about this. It's not a matter of opinion anymore. And this is what the United States has wrong.
Yeah.
They believe that we have different opinions and beliefs. We have to deal with facts. The fact is that if you think as a human being somebody else is not worth the same as you because their skin is different colors or their faith is different, you believe that they are lower than you. The fact is you're stupid. Your brain is not functioning on the same level as an intelligent person. You're a dumb person. You need to check your intelligence. People need to stop being say, oh, you know what, my aunt is a little bit racist, but she's just like that. That's how she is. No, your aunt is dumb. Your aunt's a stupid person. You just school your aunt. It's not about just letting things slide.
Just letting it slide. Yeah,
bro, you're stupid. It's an actual. It's a lack of intelligence. It's not an opinion anymore. It's not because we believe that Puerto Ricans aren't equal to us. That's what we just believe.
Yeah.
If you believe that, you're fucking wrong. You believe that water is dry. That's what the fuck you believe. You're a stupid person. Stop giving the fact that wrong, it has a value. There's no value in wrong.
There is
You're
no value
wrong.
in
You're
wrong.
not.
Sometimes it's right. Sometimes it's wrong. It's black and white, basically.
That's the thing.
Pardon
Is
the
that,
pun.
people try to think wrong means it's not nice. Okay,
Yeah.
it is not nice, and that's cool. But it's actually incorrect, and you are incorrect. You believe that people are not worth the same incorrectly. You're fucking wrong. People need to get out, especially people that are in power. You are in power, and you believe these sort of things. Get rid of everyone that has that mentality. They will all die off slowly. Some of those people are family members. Some of those people are close people that I even know.
Yeah.
They're all going to die off eventually. All you can do is take care of the future generations and make sure that they grow up with the right
I just
mentality.
honestly don't, and I'm sorry, Divine.
No, it's okay.
But I just honestly don't see that happening. We talked about this, the racist people dying off. It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen because even with Trump, look like he has kids.
For sure.
So whatever he's doing right now, he's even if he's not teaching his kids his values, they're hearing it, seeing it, learning it, reading about it.
For sure.
So his legacy will live on even if somebody walks up to him and has a silencer.
But I'm not talking about my generation and then those kids and then my kids' kids. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about 200 generations. If you start talking about 300, 400 generations, there won't be white. It will just be probably a little beige. It'll just be a beige mix of
we'll all
everything.
be beige.
We'll all be beige.
You look like this nigga right here.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. We're all gonna keep fucking, and that's it. And hopefully at that point, everyone's gonna be like, I don't know what the problem was before, because they all had issues with each other. They're gonna laugh at us. That's what the sad thing is. They're gonna end up laughing at us. And
I agree.
Do you realize that they were laughing at people because their eyes looked a little bit longer than their eyes over here? And they'd be like, yeah, I can't believe our ancestors were absolute idiots.
Yeah. Can I like, I want to get off race, and we have to bring the show to a close because Boogie's probably.
I'll go on all day.
Boogie's like, yo, you know what? This is the last episode. I told you guys you can't go over an hour. We're an hour and 22 minutes.
We're gonna have to.
My bad.
We're gonna have to cut out some of this.
There's no way that I was gonna. Anyways, okay. Listen. With that, last race question. As far as racism, like acts of racism, this is a tough question. Maybe it's not. It might be easy for some people. Every race has a little bit of racism in them, right? You know
or
what
is
I mean?
it prejudice?
Whatever.
Because they're two different things.
Okay, fuck it.
Right?
Who did the worst? Who did the worst in your opinion?
Over the course of
the
history?
course of time, history, who did the worst shit?
It has to be the white race as a race.
Yeah,
white for sure, without a question. Every land we've ever been involved with was taken and from other people.
Okay, but can I? And sorry, now it's probably shouldn't have asked that question, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, but like, do you think it's intelligence? Because when you think about it, right? You guys, when you look at the world population, I mean, white people are kind of you guys are the minority.
Yeah,
right.
Out of all the
nations, do you think it's intelligence? Like, okay, we don't have enough people to take them by force, but we got to outsmart them. So, do you think it's intelligence, or do you think it's just ingrained? I don't want to say it was taught because I don't want to get too deep into it, but I mean, like,
of how they managed to do it,
to do this shit. So, do you think it's just like ingrained, just evil, or like was it taught? Like, why did this happen?
It's a genetic thing. I think everyone, believe it or not, everyone sort of believes that because we all grew up on storybooks and we all grew up on movies, so we always have heroes and villains. So we believe that in history there are people who believe they're like, I'm the evil guy and I'm gonna fucking win. I'm gonna take over. People thought that they were always on the right side of history. So even the guys who did the worst shit over the course of history, that did the most atrocities, that killed the most people, they believed in their hearts, I am a beautiful person for doing what I'm doing right now. And not even justifying, like, I'm supposed to do this. I'm actually going to be praised for this. Everyone who's done some stupid things believe they actually were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And going, just back to races, a lot of guys who say racist stuff, they're not actually racist. They don't believe that somebody's not worth them. They don't believe that it's not an equal thing. They're saying something that's absolutely so stupid because they know that that's going to hurt that person's feelings. So they'll say something like a racial slur to someone, not because they think someone of that race is not worth them.
They just want to
because they're
deep.
like, they're so stupid that they can't think of something else to say to that person that hurts their feelings other than the lowest common denominator, which is a racial slur. And that's why people do stupid things all the time. That's why you'll probably see someone like Kramer yell the N-word on stage.
Yeah.
Not because he believes that this guy's actually not worth him, because he's an idiot and he's not smart enough to think of another thing that makes that guy look stupid other than just calling him that. That's what it is. Anyhow,
facts.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
People are stupid.
True.
People are more stupid than they are evil. I
Yeah.
believe that. And that's the whole theme of the podcast.
All right, yo. I'm gonna let you go on, but I have to ask this question. Bomb, you've been Adam Bomb forever, since I've known you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you're the legend. So I had to Google legend. And there's lots of meanings to legend, by the way. But the one that I decided to capture was to gather, read. So a story coming down from the past whose truth is popularly accepted but can't be checked.
Okay. That's actually kind of sick. I never put
Why?
that much thought into it.
Did you name yourself legend, or did somebody call you a legend?
No. So what happened is, to make the story short, is back in, I don't know, say like 2006, 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
I was always Adam Bomb, and then when I started hitting jams a lot, people would go up to each other and be like, "Yo, what up, King? What up, son? What up, bro?" and all that shit. And I thought all of that was played out. And I was like, okay, I want to say something, but I don't want to say stuff that everybody's saying. So I was notoriously saying that to everybody. So if I saw Theo in the jam, I'm like, what up, legend? And I would say it to the DJs, what up, legend? And I started calling that. So people, when they saw me walk in the jam, they started saying it. And at that point, I didn't.
Sly motherfucker.
That's pretty dope.
I didn't take it on. I didn't take it on as the names. Scandalous started going by the champ Tony Ranks.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, okay, since we're the loudmouths, I'll pick that because people say that. And then it just became the legend Adam Bomb. Then I was gonna drop it, but what happened was there's a lot of people who have the name Adam Bomb. There's a rock guy, there's a wrestler. So I was like, for legal purposes, I'll always tag that on there so that I can keep it separate. So people always get cheesed and they're like, oh, you call yourself a legend. I didn't call myself that, but I kind of did. So fucking, you know what I mean? I
because like, honestly, I was like, yo, he's dope,
but
it was arrogant for you to like call. This nigga's calling himself a legend.
Way before,
but. Like when Weezy was calling himself the best, when Jay-Z was calling himself the God, sometimes you got to speak that shit to the universe to get it back. So I thought you were doing that shit, and then it kind of happened.
Well,
very true.
Now
very
I'm
true.
trying to work towards that nickname. It gives you something to look forward to and to work towards. That's what I'm doing now.
All right, so it's the legend Adam Bomb.
That's right. So what's next for Adam Bomb? The legend Adam Bomb. What's next?
We don't have to be
what can we look forward to? What can we look forward to
hat.
for my playlist, for my CD player at home? Yes, I have a CD player.
So yeah, if you got Lars Stone, that's out already. If you got A Material, that's out. If you got the Again album by the Freedom Writers, go get the Now album from Freedom Writers. NBS Part 1 is out already. NBS Part 2, I don't know what the name of it's going to be, will be out, I would say, end of this year, early next year, probably more likely. And my album, which is On the Road to Riches and Rehab, will probably be at the end of this year or early next year. And we might even have a next sneak attack here and there, too.
Nice. Any performances coming up that we should know about in Toronto? Or?
We're going to try to drop a party for A Material on the 13th or 14th of October. So
that'd be dope.
That's the goal.
Might go to a show?
Yeah.
I don't go to.
He doesn't go to shows, man. I like going to shows.
I'm terrified for my life.
We're
going to
do it in St. Catharines, and it's going to be beautiful.
Is it going to be safe? I'm only going if it's safe. I don't feel like dying.
I only go to safe shows, man. Whatever the fuck that means.
Keep it safe,
people. Keep it safe, man.
All right, man. With that, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Listen, the reality is, this episode got cut off at an hour. So if you want to catch the full episode, you need to go to the YouTube channel, which is super awesome. Because now you have a reason to go to my YouTube channel.
There you go.
And you can catch the rest of the show. So that YouTube channel, again, is The Ignorance is Free. That's with a Z. Get on my Instagram, The Ignorance is Free with a Z. Follow me on Twitter at I'm Chris Green. Listen, hit me up. Use the hashtag the chop up.
The chop up.
And also don't forget to leave some comments in the comments section. Let me know what you guys thought of the interview. Let me know if you have any questions for Bomb that we missed, and we can relay that back to him. So, Boogie, as always, it's a pleasure. Make sure you guys go ahead, download that app, Maximum FM. Go ahead.
Yep. At Mike Divine Music with a K. Please comment. Let us know what we're doing good, wrong, right, ugly, bullshit, whatever. Let us know. And we're going to be back next week for the Classic Report.
And by the way, are you gonna get an Instagram? Is it possible? Is it gonna happen?
They're handing them out,
They are.
It's free.
Airport, fucking convenience
We got so
stores.
many ideas for this guy for an Instagram, but it's just not happening.
You know what? Okay, we're gonna revisit this idea.
No, we're not.
And next week we'll do it.
All right, Bomb, please. Thank you so much for coming through.
Pleasure,
Bomb,
once
thank
again.
you.
Honestly, man, it was amazing. Thank you, sir.
Respect.
Thank you for coming through, bro.
Legend A Bomb on Instagram because I have it.
Are you for real?
Yeah, Legend A Bomb. That's where it's at.
What about plug everything else, man? Take us out.
My Twitter's ugly. It's a bunch of underscores. Just find me through the website, thelegendadambomb.com. You'll find me all there.
You fucked up.
Why?
You know you done fucked up, right? You said you bought the bottle of ginger. No. What happened to Bars Still Matter, motherfucker?
Yeah, we can do that afterwards.
Okay.
All right, so
I thought you were letting him off the hook, man.
Nah, we ain't done with
all
that.
Right.
All right, you guys, thank you for tuning in. Again, Boogie, thank you for letting us do this shit, man. The Ignorance is Free and Super Nigga Black Powers. We out.
The chop up.